hopefully.
Welcome back, guys. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K,
Hi.
Mod Kieran,
Hello.
Mod Ash,
Hello.
Mod Ghost,
Hello.
and myself, Mod Reggie.
I will also be providing commentary over this, whilst answering a few general questions such as, does this benefit me? Does this benefit RuneScape as a whole? Do I panic buy or panic sell? Is this biased towards certain accounts or builds? Should it be added to the game? Please bear in mind that this will be an unbiased opinion and will generally benefit the majority of the community unless I state otherwise. Hopefully you enjoy this and I'll start to do this on a weekly basis. I may even cover actual game updates themselves. Enjoy.
Let's hop into the questions then. One lucky says, why poll whether to hide results or not? This is the definition of game integrity and it should be fixed without a poll.
You see, I'm of the belief that anything that changes the poll needs to be polled, because the fundamental reason why Old School is as good as it is and why we've got such a great relationship with the players and why you guys are so much in control is because of the poll system. So I think any change to it needs to be polled to make sure you guys are happy with it. And the fact that it's not passing makes me think that it's the right decision to poll it.
I can see where the player is coming from, but as Matt K said, if it doesn't pass a poll, it won't be integrated, so keep things as they are until then, and then obviously if it passes, go from there.
Can farming patches treated with super compost and fertile soil be changed to be lighter / darker in color to easily distinguish them from untreated patches at a glance?
The patch, well, the growth state of the crop is the thing that we've currently got varying. If we need it to be able to vary on 2 criteria at once, that's a bit of a problem for us because we've only really got features for varying off 1 criterion. So what we'd have to do possibly is have a separate thing underneath, maybe a semi-transparent whitish circle that's showing the compost state independently of what's in the patch. And I think we could make that reasonably easily.
This seems to be a decent graphic update. It just benefits farmers, so why not add it? It doesn't harm anybody else in the game.
Razira says, currently 2 main sources of food are fishing and PVM. Why not make the skill Hunter a 3rd source? Just seems weird that the skill called Hunter doesn't actually give any food, aside from bird meat. Mind you, we just did the bats in raids.
That was pretty much the thought we were having when we designed raids. Like, let's have some high-level Hunter in there, so it's got a use. Admittedly, I think the potions in raids are so much more useful that people don't need the food as much as we'd hoped they might. Anyway, high-level Hunter for... Well, more Hunter is a good thing, because that skill stops a long way from 99.
There was the idea of some potions which we inevitably said were overpowered as potions with 4 doses, but maybe as a food. These potions had the effect of healing over time, so it was like 2 hit points every 10 seconds.
It could also be special food, like ram ones, which get eaten instantly without a delay.
Ooh.
Up until what Kieran said, I totally agreed with it. Having another skill to gather like a food is fine with me, and it should benefit other people as well, especially skillers that like to grind food but don't want to fish all the time. That would help them. But when Kieran mentioned that they could potentially be eaten instantly, this could potentially ruin the market for Quambrands and other things like that. We could then see other items that would obviously stack maybe more or less with Sarah Brews and stuff, so personally I wouldn't add it like that. I would maybe add the heal over time thing with certain foods. That's just a different option. I'd probably go with that one if I had to choose, but personally don't have them instant because then Quambrands are just going to be ruined, unless obviously they heal less, but then who's going to use them?
There are currently no implings that spawn in the wilderness. What if implings were introduced there that were larger versions of normal implings? We've said before we actually like this idea, because it has been brought up a few times. So there's the wildy rejuvenation idea. We've been talking about rev caves. Like, who knows? There's definitely potential for something like this. One suggestion I'd like to tack on here. Somebody said, if this is going to be the case, you have to be risking something.
I'm fine with this. Adding more skillers to the wilderness is fine, but obviously it's kind of bullying skillers because obviously if you're runecrafting, you go to the abyss, blah, blah, blah. This is similar to that. The only issue I have with it is if they're willing to risk to collect the impling or catch the impling, they should be given like a large chunk of XP because it's in the wilderness. They're risking to be killed in there. So I would give like maybe not twice the amount of XP because personally I don't do a hunter, so I couldn't give a reasonable XP rate on that. But I would give a slightly more XP rate, being not an XP rate, in fact, just like an XP chunk that they're catching something in the wilderness because they're willing to risk it, so why not? It's only fair as if to say the PK comes and gets that loot, so they should get a reward in terms of XP as well.
Twinkle says, will we see a next phase of the Zaya update soon? This will include new quests and an achievement diary to make Zaya feel old school. A lot of requests for quests in Zaya today.
We only did an expansion to Zaya last month.
So we did, as announced at RuneFest, we'll be looking to offer the Inferno at some point this year, and the Tasakal environment alongside it. So yeah, sometime this year, that's a small expansion to the west side of Zaya, but I imagine the rest of Zaya will be smaller additions as we feel fit for a piece of content to be added there, whether that's a quest or whether it's an extra piece of content that slowly works our way south and finishes off the rest of the island. And an achievement diary would probably come with the last closing of the coast.
It would make most sense to do the diary when the continent is pretty much complete, because otherwise we do the diary, you do all the tasks, then we find there's a whole new area with more stuff in it that's got nothing to do with the diary because we launched it too soon. That's why we've not gone for a diary yet, but I would be glad to do more stuff with quests. I mean, there's a lot of story there. We've released a lot more last month with raids, but there's a lot more to be released if we ever want to.
But there is stuff planned for this year, so don't worry.
Yeah, I'm good with more Zaya content, although, as Ash pointed out, we only had one last month, so I don't know why people are wanting more and more and more so fast. As for the Inferno, didn't that fail a poll? Or was that just Jad 2 what failed the poll, where you would get the cape from Jad 2? I could be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong in the comments below. But as for the Zaya updates, I'm fine with that. That'd be brilliant. Why not add one? And also, as for the diaries, make sure it's like a decent reward, because obviously Zaya is huge. It's a lot bigger than any of the other diaries that are out there so far, or it should be. So hopefully, decent reward, worth doing.
Ray WJ says, make the follow player option work around obstacles the same way the trade option does. Please.
That's an engine side thing.
Why? Why can't we just switch it? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure the engine team could, but what would you do in PvP?
What do you mean?
Well, if you could follow people really, really accurately.
Around corners. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
they could
I
just
know
send a
what
trade
they'll ask me
request,
for,
though,
it's because
if they
they're doing
wanted to.
ZMI and they're sick of getting stuck on stuff while they're following people to the Elder.
I mean, if you follow somebody in PvP and they run through trees and you're following, you do get stuck behind stuff very easily. You can simply go to trade, and it kind of, I don't know, fights that a little bit.
Personally, I wouldn't make any changes to this, mainly because it's always been like that. I think even since 2004, when RuneScape 2 first came out, it's always been like this. There's always been that issue with trees. Personally, I see it as a game mechanic. If you can't avoid the trees or you can't run through the trees properly, you need to practice a bit more. It happens to us all. We all get stuck when we're chasing someone in the wilderness, but at the end of the day, like we said, it's a game mechanic, so personally, I wouldn't change it. But looking from a general point of view, if it's not for PKing, I would fix it. But if it's just solely for the PKing update, then no, don't change it, because it's always been like that.
Our Turk says, as the old school team has become more capable of creating content since the beginning, will earlier editions, such as Nightmare Zone, be revisited to be improved?
You know, we actually offered to do a graphical improvement of Nightmare Zone, and it failed a poll.
There is nothing actually wrong with the current area for Nightmare Zone. Yes, it's a bit dull and boring because it's the KBD layer. It is the exact copy of the KBD layer, but it's not supposed to be anything. If anything, and they do decide to go for like a graphical update for this, personally, my own choice, I would go with something like from the RFD. In the final fight, I think you're in like a spacey area. I would have something like that, or maybe something from the Lunar Diplomacy quest, I think it is, where it's like all clouds and not sky, but like clouds and stepping like a dream, basically. I would have that, given the fact that it's a Nightmare Zone. Maybe make it a bit more scary looking. Maybe use a few dark colours. Ghost would probably like some purple in there, so probably do that. But personally, I would not change Nightmare Zone unless they're going to really go for it graphically. It's personally not worth the time. Most people AFK train in there anyway.
The white tree from Garden of Tranquility takes more run energy to access than the tree fruit grants. Could we add an agility obstacle on the fence blocking the garden so that the fruit is no longer dead content?
Would people use it then?
As Ash pretty much summed up in his sarcastic way, it is dead content. Adding an update to this isn't going to make it dead content. It's been like this for a while. Personally, I would leave it and focus on something worthwhile, to be honest. But that's just my personal opinion. If you've got an opinion of your own, by all means, pop it in the comment section below.
Somebody just said in the chat, what about Divine Spirit Shield? We'll actually be opening that discussion with the PVM dev blog that's coming out very soon. Before you all panic, there's also the opening the discussion about the Ellie buff in the exact same
Before
dev
they
blog.
This
panic.
happened last week. They don't know whether to buy or sell Ellie's right now.
Well,
Both. Have one offer buying and one offer selling, and you sell it to yourself.
well, if everyone's selling things, then someone's got to buy them.
In regards to panic buy, panic sell Ellie, panic keep. That's the safest option I could give you in terms of merching. But moving on to the actual Divine or the Elysian buff, personally I've not used either, so I don't have proper hands-on experience, but from what I've read and going back on old videos and such, I don't believe the Divine actually used to work properly. Or was it the Elite? One of them didn't work properly, and Ash said that they would obviously, if it was to pass, they would make it so it did work properly. Personally, I would have the Elysian, or Elysian, however you want to pronounce it, I would leave that the same, maybe give it a really small buff, maybe like a stat buff, maybe say an extra +10 in all defences, and personally then I would release the Divine, but I don't know how I would release it, because if it would need to be a lot rarer than the Elysian, and I just don't really know how to really go about doing that other than combining it with another shield or something like that. But if you've got any suggestions or anything like that, pop them in the comment section below, or just tweet Jagex personally, like Jagex Ash or something like that. Everything should be fine with that. Do that, and hopefully they will take your comments on board.
Let's talk about Blast Furnace post-update. It breaks so damn often, ruining efficiency for whoever is repairing.
We
There-
didn't change how often it breaks, I'm pretty sure.
I'm just reading what he said.
Oh, well, that's right then.
There's no real reward for repairing any broken part, only 50 crafting experience. Obviously he wants to see that better. Make the hammer wieldable in the weapon slot, so that would help. Every time you repair a broken part, you get added a fixed amount of money to your coffer. Another suggested improvement there. And yeah, increasing the crafting experience for fixing. What are your thoughts?
There's issues with wieldable hammers, isn't there?
You just have to track down all code in the game that's referring to hammers. There's about 1,060,000 lines of code at the moment, I think. Anyway, you have to find all the ones that refer to hammers, and where it says look in the inventory for a hammer, right, or in the worn slot for a hammer. I mean, what you do is you'd write a piece of script that is your generic hammer checker, and it would just return true or false, and then when you want a third form of hammer in the future, we only update that one place. Unfortunately, the developers back in 04 and thereafter didn't plan for a massive change to where a hammer could be, which means it would be a matter of doing it manually.
Just
You
make
can search for the word hammer and you will find a lot of places. Unfortunately, there's a lot of places referring to hammers that are not checking your inventory for a hammer.
someone in the chat
So
said
that's it for a little while.
just make warhammers do the job. There you go.
Yes,
Buff
the exact
warhammers.
same thing applies.
Going on a personal note, the only thing I use Blast Furnace for are gold ores, and when I use them with ice gloves, it's instant. Nothing seems to break, and I've done it for several hours. Unless it only breaks when you're using coal and mithril, addy, rune, something like that. I wouldn't know, but from what they've done so far, it's brilliant. There's still shitloads of bots there, so they just need someone there that can just stand there for a couple of hours in one day just to get rid of about 100, maybe even 1,000 accounts. It's just really annoying. But other than that, personally, I thought the Blast Furnace update was good what they did before.
Koval says, have the piano in the altar room of a player-owned house be playable like the one used during Mistland Mystery. Allow others to hear it if they have music turned on.
I legitimately want to add an actual the amount of videos that I've put out of that place. I want to add a piano with all the notes that are missing from it to the game so that players can have fun with it.
Is the answer to the question actually yes? Is it possible for us to do that? And for
Yeah.
others to hear it?
No, you could make it play the sound to everyone nearby. They have to have their music, I think. No, it's coming as a sound effect anyway.
Increase the amount of charges the Trident can hold. 2.5k charges is not enough.
Should be fine. We just have to see what happens to people who've got a half-charged one when the update goes out, because you don't want it to go funny.
Hugo says, would it be possible to expand the Gren Exchange's history?
Another 5, 10, we could probably handle just fine.
What about up to 50? So I'm thinking the people who want it will probably want loads and loads and loads.
Yes, I'm sure they will.
The Eraser says, can you please reduce the penalty time after dying at Bounty Hunter? This is to your target. After you die, maybe it takes you like 30 seconds to re-gear. You have to wait like 6 minutes to get another fight. It sucks.
Yeah, this definitely needs to be done. I don't know how exactly to do it. I don't have any suggestions for it, but it definitely needs to be done. We shouldn't have to wait minutes before we can go and carry on doing the activity that we was actually doing.
Can we get a player-owned house teleport portal for the bounty hunter target teleport?
So you go from your house straight to wherever in the wilderness your target is standing.
I would not add this in the slightest. This is my own personal opinion. It seems far too OP of an update to even be considered to be pulled, never mind considered to be adding. I would personally just drop this as fast as Gino dropped the baby 123.
Galaxy Bomb says, rooftop agility courses have made previous agility courses dead content. Can we increase the marks of grace from rooftop agility courses but increase XP per hour on normal courses? So you would go for your graceful on the rooftops and rather experience per hour on the normals.
If people are okay with the XP rates from the other ones changing, then totally.
Simple as that, really. It's a fair suggestion.
Fantastic idea. Have it where obviously grace is obviously less XP, but most XP is no grace. Have the most XP one on a brand new wilderness course. That way you can get more people into the wilderness. There's more reward for the players, for both types of players, both the skiller and the PKer. Go for that.
So this is something that not many people see. I myself use Bounty Hunter all the time, almost every day in fact, and I don't see them because they don't show up in the common PK area, which is just above Edgeville. Instead, they're kind of going way off to the right or way off to the left where nobody typically goes. And they do, in fact, exist. So we asked for proof. People sent it in. We gave them a look. Modweth went and looked at them and said, actually, these guys aren't botting. They're legitimate players. They're not selling gold. There's nothing saying we should do anything about it. But we should definitely do something about it.
This could be quite a controversial suggestion on my part, but personally I think it would work, and if it was updated, people would obviously just get used to it and go along with it. So I would have rogue kills done only in the wilderness, and they do not drop any emblems whatsoever. This would stop all types of gold farming. Well, not gold farming, emblem farming. And then in regards to how to obtain emblems, they should be in a bounty hunter crate. We should reintroduce that and have people kill for they obviously drop emblems, whereas obviously the rogues are obviously there just for the PK and thrill, so it doesn't really bother them whether they get an emblem or not, in my opinion.
Unpredit says, can Lizardman Shaman teeth get a use? Raids often... Lizardman teeth get a use.
Oh, those things, right? Sorry.
Raids often give over 1k of them as a reward, and there's nothing to do besides the occasional teleport, maybe a new arrowhead or javelin head.
That would be a nice idea.
Maybe something like arrows seems more suitable, but there's definitely something there.
Yeah, that seems quite good. Adding a new arrowhead. Don't see why not.
Cats says, suggestion, Lunar spell, destroy item. When casted, the spell would destroy an item in your inventory and all other copies of it. Hang on, reasoning. Many training methods rely on exploiting mouse keys or AHK to quickly drop items, and this would give players a more legitimate way to clear out their inventory.
Like that. It could do it one by one rather than everything all at once, so it just goes through and just destroys, yeah. So it works through.
It could be made a little bit faster than one tick per thing, because they would not thank us for that.
Yeah.
It could be as quick as we might reasonably say it's okay for dropping items,
Yeah, this seems like a good addition to the Lunar Spellbook, as long as it's slightly slower than an average person click dropping, because then obviously if you want to, you've got the option to either use the AFK mode, which would be the Lunar Spell, or the manual, which is obviously slightly quicker.
Shift click drop is obviously being spammed right now. I've got it as a question somewhere in here. Let's just go for it. Yeah.
You guys want it, ultimately, though.
Yeah. And of course, then we wouldn't have to think about this Lunar Spell, but it's good that you've got other ideas rather than just the one you've seen before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Topside says, make Eagle's Peak a requirement to use box traps.
We've been looking into this. We've had the data team actually run the numbers on this to try and find out what percentage of people have the requirements to be using the box traps and how many of them have done Eagle's Peak. And obviously this is an attempt to limit how easily bots can access box traps. And if you look at the numbers and look at what we identify as bots, 0% of them have done Eagle's Peak. But with real players, you're looking at 50-60% range. And so the numbers look fine. The quest is very simple and easy to do. The problem is when it comes to skillers, because the quest has a fight in it, and currently they don't have to do a fight to be able to use box traps and train hunter. So I mean, what we're going to look at is potentially you unlock it halfway through the quest. You don't have to actually complete and do the fight. Maybe there's a point in the quest which is reasonable to say, now you've got box traps.
Great idea from Kieran there, putting it slightly behind a quest, even though obviously scripts in bots can still do quests and dialogues and whatnot, but putting it slightly behind a quest is a good idea. Personally, they should have done the same thing with the anti-Dragonfire shield. They should have possibly done start of the the Dragon Slayer quest. That would have been decent as well. That would have obviously stopped a lot of gold farming as well. They should have just added that into the game and just not pulled it.
The harassment thing. So there was a thread that popped up just before I did this stream, and I was thinking, you know what, Matt, should we tackle this on stream today? Yeah, why not? So somebody was basically saying, I want to make sure that I'm not going to get falsely banned for harassing somebody when I didn't know I was harassing them. What are the rules? What can happen here? This guy posted this thread saying this happened. Is that true? Etc. Anyways, firstly, several warnings are given out. It's not something that you just do as a one-off and then boom, you're banned. There goes all of your however many accounts you have, etc. In addition, it only really applies to people who are persistently, intentionally following somebody around. So say you take somebody's, I don't know, tree, and they complain, but then you go and follow them around for several hours, and you do this and this and this. It's like there's a whole lot more to it than just a one-off small thing.
They shouldn't really need us to tell them how not to be a jerk.
Savage Ash.
In addition to that, there's a very touchy subject with the rushing and no honor PKing. So that's obviously something that's existed since player killing existed in RuneScape. Whether that's people protecting from melee against somebody, then someone's like, oh, he's ragging me, or somebody rushing with Dragon Claws and teleporting away, oh, this guy's ragging me. It's a meme, that's just how he likes to PK, but literally that is a thing that has existed for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, PKing specifically, we can quite easily see when somebody goes out there and spends their entire day just trying to upset people, and that's their entire focus on it, and we will quite happily get rid of those people because they're not wanted by anybody.
Player support actually does quite a bit to help out as well.
Yeah, they've got there's a whole load of reports that player support can run to automatically check all the stuff that goes on in game, and we can filter out the worst people in game on a week by week basis and just remove them from the game entirely, and that's something that happens every single week.
Alright, what I'm about to say might be a bit controversial, but this is just my opinion on no honor and rushing PKing. So like I said, it's my opinion, I'm not speaking for the entire RuneScape community. Ever since I've played, I've always considered overhead prayers, rushing, teleporting in general, just no honor. That's just my opinion because that is what I've grown up with on RuneScape. Pretty much when I played, it was a case of you either fought to the death or you had to run out. No one would take a teleport because that was classed as no honor. So that's just going off my own experiences. Certain YouTubers and streamers do rush PKing. Personally, I don't like it because you're just wasting people's time. Yeah, it might be brilliant if you run in there and get a quick kill, but just a few years ago, like when EOC died, just before then, rushing was really frowned upon and it was like borderline arrogant to do it. So if people could just not rush, it would just improve the wilderness as a whole. Because the amount of new items Jagex keep releasing into the game which offer even more high damage, you're going to see more and more rushes, and the wildy eventually will die because of it. So just don't be a cunt and actually grow a set of balls or a big set of lady balls and just fight to the death or teleport if you have to, or just run out. Just don't be a twat and don't rush.
Alright, that is going to conclude today's stream. As I mentioned earlier, the next stream we should be in the pub, because the streaming studio here is going under renovation.
It's been reserved.
Go back to the Red Indians.
So who knows what it'll look like when we come back to it, but for the next few weeks we should be in
We're getting a new couch though. That's what you asked in the chat earlier. Yes, we're getting a new couch. We're not going to accept anything but a new couch.
People don't know what a pub is?
A lot of people don't know what pub is.
Wait,
Public house, bar if you're in America.
It's a bar.
Yeah.
it's a bar, yeah.
But yeah, we will get a new couch.
It's goodbye from them, and it's also goodbye from me. So thanks for watching and or listening to this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the content of this, because what I've done is I've optimised all the Q&A questions, put them all together, squashed it all down, got rid of the little anecdotes that were in there. If you do like this content and you would like me to carry on with this, leave a comment down below, put a like, something like that, subscribe, do that good stuff for us. What I will do in the future though is, if it does become a thing, is we can get people's different voice clips, we can get people to star in the video, so to speak, possibly do face cams and whatnot in the future. We can get people's opinions on the matter. Rather than doing individual podcasts, we could do a dedicated, quick, 30-second turnaround for each question, each person, and we can smash it into a video for each question and answer, obviously. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the content, leave a comment down below. Bye guys.
Guys, we'll thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
So, bye.